And in the future, when Jesus' disciples would see the fulfillment of the sign he gave, they would know that he was present in kingdom power and that the end of the system of things was near. What about us? What do we see now? Well, it's interesting that for centuries, Jesus' disciples had to be patient. They had to watch and wait for the sign. But we are in a different situation. The time for waiting is past because we see every aspect of the sign being fulfilled. Wars, famine, disease, all on an unprecedented global scale. And we see people's selfish, unloving, often violent attitudes and behavior. And these were also foretold in the Bible as a sign of the last days. There is no doubt we are living in the last days.
So the events unfolding around us are making clearer than ever that we're living in the final part of the last days, undoubtedly the final part of the final part of the last days, shortly before the last day of the last days.
Hi, everybody.
Howdy.
Hope you enjoyed those first couple of clips. The first one is from this year's summer convention, Exercise Patience, Friday afternoon, and how they're talking about the last days. Exactly. And then the second one is from LET, governing body LET, back 2020, when they thought the pandemic was going to go into the Great Tribulation. And he was saying those words about the final part of the last day and all of that. And we know we have been hearing this for the 40 plus years we were in it. And it goes clear back to Russell's day. They thought World War I was the beginning of the Great Tribulation and the final part of the last days. But I want to thank Russell for posting this on Twitter, the comparison, and see if it doesn't sound familiar. So where is this from, Mikey?
1967. And it just so happens to be the April Fool's edition of the Watchtower. In an article named How We Know We Are Living in the Last Days. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but according to Watchtower's theology, a generation is 40 years, right? So how many years have passed since the printing of this April Fool's Watchtower?
56 years. Now,
So you could have been in this system long enough to use any education, right?
well, we are of that generation.
So be patient for what?
Well, if you notice in the first clip, he said the time has passed. It's like, it's way past. It's so way past, it's moldy.
16 years past the number 40. That generation in 1967 is old. But would you guys like to hear what they wrote in this April Fool's article that this fool-let repeats? Page 197, second column, first paragraph. When the many factors are put together, we find that our generation, our day, is the one that is identified in the Bible as the last days. In fact, in this year, 1967, we are actually living in the final part of that time. I can't do this with a straight face, I'm sorry. This can be compared to not just the last day of the week, but rather the last part of the last days.
So what Let said actually wasn't original.
Yeah, April's Fool, Jehovah's Witnesses. But you know what? I found something even as funny
The next article?
The next article, April 1st, 1967, page 212. God's judgment makes manifest the truly rich.
Well, that's definitely Watchtower
That's
because they're
Watchtower.
truly rich.
They're truly rich, pushing God's judgment against the world. Come on. But I found it interesting. Paragraph 4, study article. We also do not have to look far to locate the beggar class of Jesus illustration. The beggar class? That's the Watchtower Bible Craft Society, because that's all they do is beg, beg, beg. Even in the scene, in the middle of the field, they got a freaking cardboard box begging for money from people escaping. Unbelievable.
That was a good video you did. I forgot to tell you
Well,
that.
thank you, but we really want to thank Kevin because those were his observations. I was just...
If you haven't seen the video we put up before this one, go and look because our friend Kevin made some good observations about that drama.
Yeah. So going on, the beggar class of Jesus illustration. Remember how at the first Advent, this class of lowly and humble ones showed up as soon as the forerunner, John the Baptist, began preaching. So too today. Before the kingdom's establishment in 1914, there was a similar preparatory work done of clearing the way before Jehovah's representative. Being on a larger scale, it covered a longer period of about 40 years. 40 years have gone by since they wrote the April's Fools. Oh, wait a minute. This is still April's Fool. At once, it found those who were aware of their spiritual need, but who, like John's disciples, became no longer dependent on the Orthodox religious leaders for spiritual food. Up until then, they, like Lazarus, in his ulcerous condition, had been put at the rich man's gate, to catch what morsels of food might be dropped. However, Christendom's clergy, like their former counterpart, have shown scant concern for the common people. Well, that's just like you, Watchtower, today. You don't care.
They don't care about the kids.
Why?
They're protected.
Right, because you're the beggar class that you speak of right here. You have become the very thing that you write to expose back in 1967. They have preferred their traditions in creed. Okay, the generation of 1914 will not pass away until all these things occur, including the start of the Great Tribulation. In order to keep that tribulation, once that generation is dead and gone, now you come with the overlapping bullshit. You are holding to your traditions, just like you're accusing Christendom of doing. Pot, kettle, they're all black. Their hearts are so corrupt.
And black.
They're black. Exactly. See? So you have become the counterpart. Let Jehovah's Witnesses. Okay? They have preferred their traditions and creeds to teachings governed strictly by the Bible. Their table might have the appearance of a magnificent spread, but their food is adulterated. Oh, just go to jw.org and we got this fine spread from Jehovah. The very thing that they have gone out of their way to destroy, they themselves have absolutely become. The problem is that a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses will not go back and look at what they wrote, in particular pre-1975, because now they're touting the same exact garbage that they wrote back then. And more precisely, 1967 Watchtower. April's Fool.
Well, that's why I think most of that generation, our age and younger and a little bit older, are all leaving, because it's like, patience for what? After 60 years, want us to have patience and they are pushing this in some of these talks for the convention, is be patient, stay loyal, stay obedient.
Well, Jesus made it clear that in the time of the end, there would be an overlapping generation. Who's going to overlap that generation? If not, the final part of the overlapping generation proves we're right at the end of the overlapping generations. And yet they don't have a clue. Don't have a clue
Exactly.
of even where that number 40 comes from.
You really need to do that video, you know.
They're not ready for it.
Okay, so I got a couple of things here to cover. Some news and stuff. Now first I want to mention very sad news. There was a CSA survivor that was part of the Reclaimed Voices group in the Netherlands, I believe, the Dutch Netherlands, but she was Dutch. And she had done some interviews and stuff, but anyway, she has committed suicide. And she went by the name of Sarah. So, you know, it's just so sad that so many, we have lost so many of these, you know, ones who have gotten their freedom from Watchtower and just have a hard time dealing with this.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we hope and pray that she has peace now, wherever she is.
She does.
Yeah.
She does.
Yeah. And I got an email from someone. They are actually a POMO, physically out, mentally out. And she was watching our videos regarding this year's convention and had some things to share. So I'm going to just read this. It says, I have relatives and a couple of close friends who are PMOs. They told me that at both the Brooklyn Circuit Assembly Hall, which holds about 5,000 to 6,000 or more, there were less than 2,000 in attendance.
Less than 2,000.
Yeah, for the 2 weekends of their assigned regional conventions. They only attended separately 2 days each, especially since Watchtower headquarters has the body of elders stress that there were not going to be any Zoom provisions. This was very disheartening to them, particularly since half of this group are elderly and with limited disabilities. It seems as if Watchtower doesn't care if they are inconvenienced. They want the money any way, shape, or form they can get it.
Wow, isn't this interesting that we just read what we read from the 1967 April's Fool edition, The Watchtower?
Yeah, and she said, secondly, I posted a thread which you might find interesting under my two assumed monikers on both XJW Reddit and the Jehovah's Witness discussion forum. I believe that's jehovahswitness.com. And I'm not going to say what her moniker is, but if you're on those sites, you'll probably see it because this headline's going to be this, is Watchtower using attendance at the conventions to be toy cops. Now first, before I read this, I want to mention that if you watch any of the news clips where they're promoting Jehovah's Witness summer conventions, they are inviting the public, even on their jw.org website. It says the public is welcome, no money taken, free to the public. Okay, so they're inviting the public. The Jehovah's Witnesses at their carts and preaching at the doors are inviting people they talk to come to the convention. Okay? How many Jehovah's Witnesses even notice that the people they're inviting to come to their convention, this is how they're being treated? And I think you mentioned, you watched a video about someone, they actually called the cops on someone who got invited to the convention, and he had to tell them, look, I was invited.
Went to jw.org and the invitation's right there.
Yeah.
This is how fearful Jehovah's Witnesses are of ex-members. That when the public's invited, they automatically assume that that public are ex-members. Hey, Jehovah's Witnesses, Watchtower is literally screwing with your minds.
Well, how do they expect to get any from the public to join their cult when the minute they walk in the door of the convention to see what it is about and going on, they're accosted and interrogated by your Gestapo? You're not going to get them to join. The first thing they're going to say is, oh my God, this is a cult.
That's the first thing they're going to see.
Okay, so this is their post. I have heard from a few PMEs, that's physically and mentally in, and several PMOs, physically and mentally out, that the attendants who are stationed assigned to the front entrances of the Borg venues have been checking to see if any persons, members and non-member visitors, have badges. See, that's the thing. You have to have that badge or you're going to be interrogated.
Badges? Badges? We don't need no stinking badges!
On the other hand, if these persons don't have one, this is what I was told that these dubs do. They corral around the non-badge wearing individual and interrogate he, she, them, plus questioning them, why are you here? Also, even if that person or persons has an invitation, plus showed it to these dubs, these toy cops still do that procedure. Although I myself am presently POMO, physically out, mentally out, I am looking forward to this corporation's downfall. I love your play on corporation.
Yeah, corporations.
Yeah, it still perplexes me to a certain level whereby off-street visitors who may just be curious and be invited by the news are being harassed by ordinary run-of-the-mill dubs who have, some of them, not all, self-esteem issues in that they want to push their weight around and be woolly-bully to people, just also to prove a point. Watchtower has influenced these guys and possibly a few women to big talk, no action folks in reality. So, thank you both for all you do to keep former dubs and those who are making their exodus out of the corporation informed.
Love that term, corporation.
Yeah.
Instead of corporation.
It's going to be a new saying, isn't it?
Yes.
So, thank you.
Watchtower, and that word will never ever become an April Fool's joke.
Yeah.
Because you are a cult of a corporation. Corporation.
Okay, now I just got another thing here. This was disturbing. I was talking to someone, and I'm not going to mention any names or where they're from for their protection. But anyway, they were telling me that they wished they would have recorded this because an elder got drunk and was bragging that parents would just allow him to take the kids in the back bedroom or the back room or something and do whatever he wanted to.
And I'm an eyewitness to elders taking younger ones behind closed doors. Even in Arizona, one of the elders, at a home book study, after the book study was done, he dragged one of the daughters into the back parents' bedroom, and who knows what happened at that point. You know,
they were back there for a while.
Yeah, and he was supposed to be counseling her. Here again, if you're a dad, why, and pray tell, do you let these men do this to your children?
With the door shut. Every time the elders wanted to talk to our daughter, and one of them was this pervo elder, and I can say that because he got touchy-feely with me and several other sisters. And then you allow him to take your daughter and shut the door in the back bedroom? But he would always say, I'm going with her. He would never allow them to talk to our daughter alone. And I don't care if Watchtower, the elders have a problem with that. It's like, no, you parents, you JW parents, you need to be going with your kids in these back rooms, back bedrooms. You know, do not let them be alone with men, these elders. I mean, this is dangerous.
Well, you know what that does, Kim? That just convinces me all the more that these husbands, these fathers, do not grasp the whole headship arrangement. Even these Jehovah's Witness men throw the headship arrangement away when it comes to a dumbass elder. See? Now, when those two elders called me on the phone several years ago, remember what I told them? They came into my house when I was working uninvited, and they had a spiritual conversation with my wife. And then, a couple days later, two of them called me on the phone, and you know what I said? I says, because you came into my house and had a spiritual conversation without me being there, you usurped my headship, and this conversation's over. Click. Even the Jehovah's Witness men cannot grasp the biblical headship arrangement, and they surrender their own God-given authority to these buffoons.
Well, that's even one of their rules.
Yeah.
Even in a judicial hearing, a woman's husband goes in if she is being interrogated for alleged sin. Mm-hmm. But yet when it's to their favor or they're trying to go after on a witch hunt, well then that doesn't apply.
Right.
Because they actually came here and it wasn't so much a spiritual discussion, it was an interrogation to find out if we had gone apostate.
I stand corrected, because
Yeah,
it was an interrogation.
That wasn't a spiritual discussion.
Excuse me, pardon me.
Yeah, it wasn't a spiritual discussion. That was an interrogation to see if I was going to slip up. And I just kept telling him, why don't you go talk to his mother who is spreading these rumors? You know, don't come talking to me. I wouldn't tell him anything. And isn't it interesting that after he hung up on him, 2 days later is when we got the certified letter inviting us to our judicial hearing. Thanks a lot, dear.
There again, even the elders don't comprehend the headship arrangement. These men are total idiots. And the Bible does that to them.
Yeah. So, thank you for watching, and thank you for all of the information you guys are sending, and elders letters, and everything. We appreciate it. And I want to thank the Pimo elder who sent me this. It's just a letter saying during the midweek meeting, they're going to watch the new governing body update. We watched the governing body update with Loesch and didn't see anything in there that was that important. He talks, just about stuff going on that is already on jw.org news. So,
Well, the one thing that I could glean from it is that Loesch is full of cobwebs right now. He's so old, decayed. Personality is zero. Feelings are zero.
no passion.
Nothing.
Well, the thing is, some complain about how loud you are, and
So
our
what?
videos. The thing is this is passion from the heart. This is true emotion you see when we are talking about this stuff. You look at these guys' eyes, they are dead. There's a famous quote from the movie Jaws.
Yeah.
Sometimes that shark, he looks right into you, right into your eyes. You know the thing about a shark, he's got lifeless eyes, black eyes, like a doll's eyes. When he comes at you, he doesn't seem to be living until he bites you.
Well, you look at some of these governing body members, their eyes are dead. There's no emotion. You talk to Jehovah's Witnesses, and if you notice, they're kind of just like robotic, like zombies. Their eyes are dead. There's like no passion at all.
Here, go to jw.org. There's no soul in these people at all any longer.
Yeah, and it just amazes me that they're inviting people to this convention and not even realizing that if anybody does show up to show any interest in what is at these conventions, they're being accosted and interrogated by these toy cops.
Talk about stepping in your own trap.
Yeah, same thing with Kingdom Halls. You go to a lot of these reviews of Kingdom Halls on Yelp,
Yelp,
YELP. I even left some of things that some have told me. They walk into a Kingdom Hall because they were invited for the memorial or something, and first thing the attendants are there to ask them who they are, what are they doing there, and giving them the third degree. Well, it's happening at the conventions. I would love for the news media to be told this. It's like, okay, forget the PR clowns, puppets. Ask ones who are going in because they're invited by the news that it's open to the public and then being interrogated. Oh my God. I mean, I just have no words.
Tell us how you really feel about it.
I don't use that kind of language publicly.
Oh, I will. But not in this video.
Yeah. But thank you everybody for watching and hope you have a wonderful week.
Bye.
Bye.